Hello, Riderflex Nation. Steve Urban here again. And today, another great guest for you. I have my good friend Cliff Levin on the phone, the CEO and founder of Furniture for Life. Hello, Cliff. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. Don't oversell me. I don't want to disappoint as we get further into this call.
Oh, you won't. I'm sure you won't. Hey, tell the listeners a little about yourself, a little personal and a little career.
Sure. I won't go into great detail because that will be extremely boring, but suffice it to say that, you know, what feels like 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, I started in retail with a part-time job.
That's
And
right. That's
I
right. You were
actually,
an old retailer.
I was a retailer. And that part-time job lasted about 3 or 4 days. It's getting a little foggy because it was a long time ago, and I was promoted to a full-time position, which I thought was the greatest thing in the world. And then I became an assistant manager and a manager, and each step along the way, I just thought I was making a king's ransom, and the world was my oyster. But that's, I kind of, as a person, as a professional person, and I know you have a lot of retail experience too, got burned in on the retail floor, if you will,
Right.
and picked up a lot of what I know and a lot of what I use today from that experience. Now my company deals with retailers. We aren't really specifically retailers ourselves, but we serve the industry. So I think all that's helped.
Mm, that
Um,
that
from
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So from there, I was running one store, and then I was running multiple stores, and then I was running a multi-million-dollar, $180 million business, and then was in a smaller retail experience, one that you're very familiar with at Healthy Back in Washington D.C.
Hmm.
I describe what I do now as having moved kind of upstream from the retail experience to a company that wholesales and serves retailers.
And that company is Furniture for Life. Tell us a little about Furniture for Life.
Our core business, the biggest piece of our business, is in massage chairs. And we have a couple of massage chair brands. One is called Positive Posture, and the other is called Dreamwave. The Dreamwave brand is our high-end brand. The Positive Posture brand is a little bit more of an everyday, more affordable brand. We've also moved into more generally what I would describe as healthy furniture, what we describe as healthy furniture. We've got some movement-related, ergonomic, well-designed furniture from Norway that we also sell. That's also
Mm.
part of that falls under the Furniture for Life umbrella. That's the brand name for that stuff is Verrier of Norway, and then we're also the U.S. exclusive distributor for Panasonic branded massage chairs. So, like I said, massage chairs really are the core of what we do here. More generally, what we do is healthy furniture.
And I've been blessed with one of those massage chairs myself, Dreamwave, outstanding product, and has helped me in so many ways. Thank you for that, by the way, years ago. That chair is still going strong. And
Yes,
really,
well, that's
really,
good to know.
by the way, Furniture for Life, it's fflbrands.com. Is that correct if people want to find that?
Yes, that's kind of our corporate web page. But if you spell the whole thing out, furnitureforlife.com, you'll see what consumers see.
Okay, great. Sounds good. So, what would you say are some of the key contributing factors to your overall success so far?
Um, so uh, I have a perspective on this that you don't commonly hear, I think, among business people, and that is that I attribute a lot of success not necessarily to the things that I've done. Another way of saying that is I feel pretty lucky to be here. It doesn't mean that hard work wasn't involved, and that's important. It
Right.
doesn't mean that there were many sleepless nights, and that was important too. Um, there was knowledge that was acquired from early experience that was critically important. But I kind of feel like there is a pretty big group of people in the world that possess those things: a willingness to work hard, some wisdom or intelligence, an appetite for risk, willing to deal with those sleepless nights. There are a lot of people like that, but not everybody gets to build a business that enjoys some level of success. And that's the luck part. And, there are a lot of things that make me feel lucky. Having this business is one of them. Having good parents is another one. Having educational opportunities is another one. And having early work opportunities that really shaped my sense of what could be done and gave me the confidence, even though it may have been irrational when I was younger, that I could do it. I could do it well, and maybe I could even do it better.
That's
So,
good.
I think if you're really thinking about going into your business yourself, you better not think it's easy. You know that. I know that. Many business people know that. And if you fail, and there were a couple of businesses where I failed too. Unfortunately, I didn't throw a lot of money at them. They didn't take me down. But you've got to understand that behind every business person, you might be looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 failures. Who knows? Because the story you always hear from successful business people is the last story.
It's right.
The one where it's the one where they have been successful. All the other stories are forgotten and untold.
Right. That's why everybody that hasn't tried it thinks it's easy.
Right. Right. And then and somebody, let's say somebody tries it for all the right reasons and fails. They may have just drawn the short straw. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't be an incredibly valuable employee or a number 2 person to somebody else. And maybe someday down the line will become the number 1 person starting their own business when they're ready to do it again. But
is there a key piece of advice you would give? I mean, what's some of the things you would tell an executive that's ready to leave that post, that comfy, secure position and start their own business, and they're kind of drawing up their initial plans? What are some key pieces of advice you'd give that person?
First of all, I'd say do it without even looking at their plans, because what's driven them mentally into that place is some deep yearning, potentially some deep dissatisfaction from where they are today or where they have been along their career path. And they will never, ever satisfy that if they don't try.
That's good.
It doesn't mean they're going to make it. And they have to be willing to understand that. Like, their families could be pissed at them. Their parents and friends might look at them funny for a little while. Like, you had this great cush job with benefits and vacation time. Now look what you're doing. You got to be willing to deal with all that.
What's the biggest hurdle so far? I know you've had many, but can you think of one in particular, or maybe a couple in particular, that really have been the biggest challenges so far for you in this owning your own business?
Boy, this is perhaps not the biggest one, but it's present right now, and that's the current business environment for importers, specifically importers from China.
I see.
Some of our products do come from China, and as everybody I'm sure has heard, there are 10% tariffs that have been announced on those. They affect us, and those 10% tariffs are expected to go up to 25% January 1st of 2019. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, but this is going to be a major challenge for our business. But along the way, if I had to pick one specific challenge, I would say that a little more than 2 years ago, we started to really make a pivot to moving a lot more of our activities in-house and starting to own designs and doing designs and modifying products that were coming off of production lines significantly to turn them into the products that we would be proud to sell. And that process is slow, it's daunting, it's challenging, it introduces all kinds of surprises along the way, it costs a lot of money, it involves lots of people, and it's been really challenging to work through that. I think we are in the thick of it now, but we also have some really interesting stuff to show for it, which suggests that all that investment of effort, time, and money is going to pay off. It's starting to pay off now, but there's a real sense of hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel in terms of these projects that is really encouraging. So it was the hardest bit, but it's also probably going to deliver the best rewards for the business.
That's one of the things. I mean, there's so many things I admire and respect about you and your career and you as a person, but that topic right there, the ability to pivot, the ability to have vision, to look down the road and anticipate hurdles and make changes. I mean, you've just done such a great job of that over the years since I've known you. And you work with your team to do that. Really respect that. I mean, great job. Great advice.
Well, I'm glad it looks that way to you from the outside. But thanks for saying that, though. Yeah.
Looking back, by the way, if you were giving advice to your 21-year-old self today, if you could talk to that young man, is there anything, 2 or 3 things you would tell that person?
Oh, we're just talking about business here, right?
Well,
limited to business.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Yeah. So there's some things I wouldn't change at all, right? My 21-year-old self, and I'm going to guess you were just this way too. My 21-year-old self, when I just started working, was willing to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
My boss could have said anything to me, and I would have said, absolutely no problem, I'll do it.
Right.
And I think that's really valuable to young people today. And I would, I'd talk to other successful people, and I think you're going to find the same thing, that they were willing to do whatever it took, sweep floors, clean toilets, get on an airplane for 5 weeks and never come home.
Right.
All that was fine. All that was fair game. So I would say in that regard, do the same thing that I did. I think that's important. I don't see it a lot today.
Agreed.
And I wish I saw it a little bit more, and because at the time it didn't feel like a sacrifice. It was a thrill. It was an adventure.
Right.
Everything was new. Everything is new when you're that young, and you should see it that way.
Well, you still have that energy today, my friend. The fact that you still jump on those planes and fly all over the world, I don't know how you do it. So you still got a lot of juice left, that's for sure.
I am slowing down a little bit, getting a little soft, but I have some people on my team that are deeply valued members of the team who are willing to go to the ends of the earth, literally.
That's
the drop of a hat to cover for something, and I see a little bit of my young self in there, and I love it.
And that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
and I'm sure
the other.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, so the other thing I would add, my 21-year-old self was deeply loyal, and probably to a fault. Now, I don't see that problem today with young people. I don't think that millennials are accused of being too loyal to the companies they work for. But again, talking about my 21-year-old self, I think I might have trusted a little bit too much or given up opportunities that might have been really, really interesting to me as a human being and as a business person and as somebody who was interested in career, because I didn't look past what was right in front of me.
Speaking of a career, let's go to job seekers. A lot of our podcasts are job interviewing tips and things. I know you've interviewed probably thousands of people, hired hundreds. What's your 1 or 2 of your top or favorite interview questions?
This is interesting. I'm actually trying to get away from favorite interview questions, so this is kind of an unhelpful part of my response. Here's why, though, and this may be helpful to people who are listening here. When people are interviewing, the interviewee should understand that the person that's interviewing them believes in their own judgment about the person sitting in front of them. And people who are in responsible positions and interviewing for companies, they're in that management position or that high-level HR position, and they're doing the interviews, and you've done a ton of interviews. As human beings, they will remember the correct choices they made about hires, and they will forget the failures. It's sort of like, everybody kind of has an aunt or a friend who goes to Las Vegas, and every time they come back from Las Vegas, they tell you, well, I won again. and you know they didn't win every time in Las Vegas. They're just forgetting the times that they lost.
Right.
My point is that interviewers go in there with a pretty high degree of confidence in their own egos.
Mm-hmm.
And interviewees who sort of fail to try in an interview to understand what the interviewer is after is going to fail miserably.
Mm-hmm.
Interviewees that go in and think that it's just about the interviewer asking them questions rather than them trying to figure out what's making the interviewer tick is going to fail. If they don't have the maturity to do that and to sort of, at points along the way, understand more about the interviewer and turn the tables a little bit, I think they're missing a great opportunity to create an interview that's good for the interviewer, which in turn will benefit the interviewee.
That's great advice for anybody listening that is on the job hunt. Really, that's great. Cliff, yeah. I could probably keep you on the phone for another hour, but we're running out of time. For Wrapup, I like to ask this question. One of my favorite questions. What's your core purpose in life now, professionally? And I know core purpose I think it changes for all of us over time, depending on what stage you're at in your life, or at least I believe it does. What would you say your core purpose is right now in life professionally?
Help, and be part of a team. I see my mission here, and we do it through Healthy Furniture as one of providing livelihood for a growing group of people, providing a good working environment. And the thing that will make me the most proud is if somebody comes to me and says, working here helped me in X, Y, or Z way. It helped my family. It helped me grow. It helped me buy a new house. It helped me feel wanted and cared for. I describe what we do here together at FFL as a work family. And the difference between there's an important difference between work family and home family. Home family is an environment where you can never lose your job. You can never be fired. That can happen at your work family, and that's the difference. But for much of the rest of the time, it should feel like a safe place where you're nurtured to grow. And if that happens on a consistent basis with the team that I work with, I'm thrilled to death. And that's what drives me.
It's so wonderful to hear you talk about culture and company culture and those types of things as we wrap this call up. And you're right, my friend, helping people in their life professionally and having them look back upon that experience and say thank you and making a difference in their life. It's more rewarding than money. It's more rewarding than anything else you can do. I'm so glad you shared that.
Yeah, well, why? I'll add one more thing. How's it any different, Steve, if a friend in need comes to you,
right,
and says, "Hey, buddy, I need some help in this way," and you pull them through. You help.
Right, you help.
It's a great feeling for any kind of normal human being, and I think people can get it time and time again at work, and that's what's important to me.
That's great. That's great. Really admire the fact that you're building that kind of culture there. You're running a great brand with great product at Furniture for Life, Cliff. Really super glad to have you as my friend. I'm super proud of everything you've done over there. Congratulations on your success. And
well, I share that sentiment about you too. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Cliff. Really appreciate you being on the podcast today, sir. And you
Great. Well,
take
yeah,
care, my
and
friend.
I'm going to call you back soon and figure out when we're going to get together and have some chicken wings and a beer.
That sounds great. Thank you, my friend.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Steve.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
And there you go, folks. There is the Riderflex podcast for today. So wonderful to have Cliff join us. As always, folks, you can visit riderflex.com and learn more about us. You can call in or email us with questions, and we'll help you in any way we can. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.